question.
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Labour and Industrial Relations, whether in regard to scarcity of labour across various sectors of the economy, he will state the measures being implemented to meet the demand on the labour market. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for this question, which will allow me to address the issue of scarcity of labour, which is crucial for the economy. Madam Speaker, according to figures from Statistics Mauritius as at September 2024, there were 35,200 unemployed in Mauritius, a slightly lesser figure of 34,744 job seekers have registered with the 13 employment information centres across the island, out of which 20,618 were already in employment but looking for a better job. So, Madam Speaker, can we talk about scarcity of labour when we have so many unemployed people in Mauritius? At the same time, Madam Speaker, every day my ministry receives application from employers willing to employ foreign labour. In 2024, my ministry received 32,538 applications for work permits. Since the beginning of the year, we have received almost 5,000 requests for work permits. Currently, there are 48,450 migrant workers. 80% of the migrant workers in Mauritius are employed in the manufacturing sector and the construction sector. Madam Speaker, every day I receive representation from employers applying for work permit who told me that they have interviewed job seekers. They have tried to recruit locally, but many Mauritians are no longer, especially the young ones, no longer interested to work odd hours, night shift, work overtime, and work during weekends. And this is causing disruption in the chain of command. Just this morning, I was talking to my colleagues. There's currently a shortage of distribution of certain soft drinks in Mauritius because there is not sufficient lorry drivers, and therefore, this is causing a bottleneck. Same thing last week, earlier this week on Tuesday, the Honourable Minister of Land Transport, in answer to PQ, mentioned that one of the reasons why there are delays on certain bus lines is lack of bus drivers, local bus drivers. These are all causing us to review our strategy as far as recruitment of foreign workers are concerned. Madam Speaker, previously, before an employer could employ a migrant worker, they had to demonstrate to my ministry that they have not been able to recruit locally. This is a way to preserve a job for local Mauritians. However, in 2023, Cabinet took the decision that for 4 sectors identified as scarcity areas, namely textile manufacturing, construction, agriculture, and SMEs involved in those sectors, there will be no need to have any quota system. There's no need to come and try to demonstrate inability to recruit locally. It was de facto taken for granted that in those sectors there is a scarcity of labor. Now, these 4 sectors has been over time extended, and the latest list dated approved in September 2024 include textile manufacturing, bakery, traditional, agriculture, construction, SME operating in those sectors, export-oriented enterprises, freeport, jewelry, ICT, BPO. For these 9 sectors, you don't need a quota. You can just apply, the number of foreign workers you want. Then there is an additional 6 sectors manufacturing activities, food processing, motor vehicle repairs, printing and publishing, bus industry, tourism, victualler, where there is a quota. And it depends. For example, for manufacturing, you can employ 4 foreigners for every local employee. For bus drivers and bus conductors, you can employ a foreign worker for every Mauritian worker. And then there is a catch-all provision, other scarcity areas. For other scarcity areas, you have a ratio of 1 to 3, which means that you have to have 3 Mauritians in order to be able to employ 1 foreigner. Madam Speaker, I'm now turning to the specific question, and I have to say that I'm very surprised the leader of the opposition is asking me what measures, is being implemented to meet the demand on the labor market, when in fact we're in this situation precisely because for 10 years they haven't done anything to address this issue, this scarcity, other than allowing foreign workers to come in. And today we are in this mess because of the inaction of the former government. So what our government intends to do is to address measures at 3 levels. The first level is matching job seekers with job providers. The second is skilling and reskilling. And the third one is migration of migrant workers. Matching job seekers and job providers. Madam Speaker, there is a practice in this country where job seekers go to employment centers and stamp card. And people have been doing it for years, and they don't get a job. And in fact, when I ask them, why do they keep on stamping the card if they don't receive a job? They tell me that this is the only way to get in government service. Because if you want to recruit local government, public service commission, they tend to give priority to people who have registered themselves on in those job centers. So what we want to do now is to improve the system, because there's a market imperfection. You have people seeking jobs and you have people having vacancies, but they don't match, they don't meet. And one of the reasons they don't do it is because our employment centers are hugely understaffed. They don't have time to record all the people who are coming and looking for jobs, then all the employers looking for vacancy, and then calling and trying to make the two match. Yesterday, I spoke to my colleague, the Honourable Minister for Information Technology, Communication, and we are going to work together to devise a new software, a new software with the help of artificial intelligence, which will automatically match the demand for work and the supply for work. And automatically, whenever someone registers on the system, he will receive an email telling him what these are the jobs that are available, which matches your expectation and your qualification. And at the same time, every employer looking for an employee will receive an email telling them this is the list of people who have the profile and qualification which matches the vacancies in your employment. So having this software will greatly ensure that job seekers and job providers meet. We will also hold job fairs. We have just done one last week, which was very successful for the former employees of Star Knitwear. So we'll do that on a regularly across throughout the year to get perhaps sector-wise, each sector have a job fair where Mauritians interested to work in those sectors can meet the companies who have job availability. The second set of measures, Madam Speaker, relates to skilling and reskilling. And here, what happened, Madam Speaker, is simply unforgivable. I have asked for figures from my officers about the training carried out by MITD last year. Because you see, if I am unemployed, but CNT, Rosy Transport, Trio Service are looking for bus conductors, bus drivers, So I have to be given the chance to be trained so that I can apply for this job. So training and reskilling is very important. And do you know, Madam Speaker, in 2024, 2025, the number of people trained by MITD, the official figures that I received today, 88. Thousands of demand for workers. And how many people skilled, trained last year? 88, because of that government. So this is going to change. This is going to change. We are working closely with my colleague from the Ministry of Education and Human Resources so that we devise courses, training courses that matches the job availability, not general courses, you know, just to please people or please the trainer, but courses that will help the job seeker to get a job. Also, the other crime, and the word is not too strong, crime, because this was a term which the former leader of the opposition used when he referred to what happened to the children attending the extended program. Madam Speaker, 97% of children attending extended program under the former government were dropped out, they failed the exam. They failed the exam, they came out without any qualification, without any skills, without the ability to secure any job. This government, we're changing that. With the help of the Ministry of Education, we're coming with a foundation program. Now, this foundation program will not put emphasis just on the academic side, but also on the soft skills, on the technical side, on the values, which will equip this youngster when he finishes school to get an employment or to secure a technical employment elsewhere. And we will revalorize tous les métiers, because today, a lot of Mauritians do not want to go into the construction industry. But there's a lot of scope, a lot of money, I've seen the salaries. I've repaired my house. I know how much it costs to pay electricians, to pay plumbers, to pay bricklayers in this country. But we need to give them the necessary training, and this is what our government will do, Madam Speaker. The third measures relates to migrant workers. Madam Speaker, I have to say that I was completely taken aback when I came to my ministry and I found out what was going on as far as migrant workers were concerned. There was a total mafia operating. Total mafia, Madam Speaker. There were employers who have been waiting for months and months for their permits. Each time there's excuses, each time there's harassment. And then they change job recruiter, and suddenly when the name of that job recruiter comes in, flashes in, all the doors are open. No question asked. But of course, you have to pay more money. You have to pay commission. You have to pay more money, Madam Speaker. So that is what was happening. And worse, there was a practice when you go through all the procedures and the technical committee refuses a job permit because probably you didn't meet certain criteria. And the minister has to give his green light for the work permit to be registered, because under the law, only the minister has this power. You know what these people do? There was an appeal mechanism. You appeal against the decision of the minister. And you appeal to whom? The minister himself. And the minister was entertaining this appeal and allowing those work permits, Madam Speaker. This is what we were having before I came to that ministry. And it was no surprise that today there are 4,827 illegal workers in this country. 2,542 workers who are missing. They left the job. 2,285 workers who are working without a permit. Why? Because the former regime tolerated a system where when the employment contract terminates, the work permit terminates, And my ministry will write to the employer and tell them, renew the permit and pay the dues, because there's a claim. You have to pay a fee when you renew it. The enterprise simply would not renew. They would not renew, but they will continue to employ the same workers. So these migrant workers, when we see, and we see inflated figures, 4,000, a lot of them are poor migrant workers working for the same employer, and the employer did not renew their permit. So this is why, Madam Speaker, Cabinet took the bold decision of setting up an interministerial committee to look into this whole migrant workers section. And this committee, I'm presiding it. There is the Honourable Minister of Social Security in it. There is the Honourable Minister of Industry, and also the Honourable Minister from the Telecommunication in it. We've already had 4 sessions. Yesterday, we heard representatives from trade union telling us about their concern, and giving us a feedback. And last week, we heard from the representative of the business community. Now, obviously, in my ministry, we need to make a balance. On the one hand, there is a cry from the private sector, please allow us to recruit more people. Don't impose quota, allow us to recruit any person we want, anytime, and do it quickly. Then you have the labor representative who said, no, careful. We should not open the floodgate and find ourselves in a situation where it will be easier and cheaper to employ migrant worker than Mauritian worker. So this is what this committee, this interministerial committee, is looking at. And also we are looking at the issue of recruitment of migrant workers. As you know, thanks to the former regime, Madam Speaker, we are now blacklisted by the United Nations. We are termed as a country where there is traffic in person. Traffic in person. Mauritius, do you believe it? Traffic in person in Mauritius. And then the Department of Trade of the United States has put us on a blacklist of country where you have forced labor, where we're ill-treating workers. And this is already impacting on our export sector. And this is going to be a threat when it comes to renewing AGOA. That is why time is pressing, and this government has set up this committee and will come up with a recommendation. And with this recommendation, we're going to streamline the process, and we will help meet this scarcity in those areas, scarcity of labor force in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Yes.
I thank the Honourable Minister for his reply. I understand from what he has replied that we have some more than 40,000 foreign workers in Mauritius, and he stated that also when he intervened on the government program. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he can indicate to the House, because he is saying that there's a lot of pressure to bring in foreign workers, how many more workers do we need in the different sectors of the economy, whether he has these figures with him?
Madam Speaker, we have not done this exercise yet. We know that last year there was an application for over 30,000 permits, and this year we've already received 5,000. But I have to say, Madam Speaker, that the trend, previously it was textile and construction. Now the trend is other, domestic workers, carers, gardeners, maids, not just for employment in productive sectors, but also domestic workers. We're having a lot of demand for employment of foreign workforce.
Yes. Another question?
Yes, Madam Speaker. The Minister mentioned that there are some 4,700 illegal workers in the country. May I ask the Honourable Minister what he intends to do to prevent the presence of illegal workers in the country, and may I also know from which countries do we have those illegal workers?
Madam Speaker,
it seems to me that he's already given.
Madam Speaker, the 4,000 illegal workers, did not start between November last till today. This is the result of their failure to take action to remedy this. And I have to say, they were complicit. They were complicit in that. Why? Yesterday, the committee heard the representative of the Passport and Immigration Office. Madam Speaker, it is a criminal offense for a worker to work without a permit. That is what they call illegal workers. But it is equally an offense for an employer to employ a worker without a license.
Of course.
So when you come to the NBC, you'll see from time to time a crackdown operation, the police coming in and taking 20, 30 illegal migrants and shipping them to their country. But what about the employer? Zero. They never, the government never, the previous government and the police never prosecuted employer in the past. That is why there was all these illegal workers. Because if you don't have illegal employer, you won't have illegal workers. And this is what we're doing.
I also asked the Minister, from which countries do we have those illegal workers?
Are you able to
Yes, traditionally, Madam Speaker, most of the migrant workers was from Bangladesh. So the big bulk of the illegal migrants are Bangladeshi when it comes to missing person. Then we have another category of illegal workers in this country, which came on a tourist visa. They came on a tourist visa, then they tried to work. Now, why do they come on a tourist visa and work illegally in Mauritius, Madam Speaker? Because in 2023, that government, the previous government, announced in the budget speech that they will entertain work permit application from tourists.
Okay.
So all these people, they came from Madagascar. Most of them came from Madagascar Republic, from African countries. They came on a tourist visa, they overstayed, and they became illegal migrant workers, and they are the most vulnerable of all the workers. So to answer the Honourable Leader of Opposition, the big chunk of the missing persons are from Bangladesh, and the tourists who overstayed are from Madagascar Republic.
Maybe in due course you'll give us figures? In due course?
This is with the PIO. I'll have to check with the PIO if they have the statistic, and I'll table to the House.
Of course. Yes.
Yes, the Honourable Minister in his reply stated that to keep our economy going, we need to import migrant workers. May I ask him, Madam Speaker, how does he reconcile the fact that on the one side we have to import more foreign labour, and on the other side we have to control the employment rate in the country?
I think he addressed that issue.
Yes, but
Already addressed the issue.
the point is very simple. We have a problem of matching job seekers and vacancies. We are addressing this. We have a problem of skills mismatch between job seekers and vacancies. We are going to meet that through training, through cooperation with the ministry. So that is how we're going to tackle the unemployment problems in Mauritius, Madam Speaker. With regards to the economy, if there is really evidence that Mauritians are not qualified or don't want to work in a specific sector, and we need this sector to run the economy, obviously my ministry will entertain application for migrant workers from this sector. And this is the purpose why we're having this interministerial committee, and this is why we've heard representatives from the private sector and from trade unions.
The Honourable Minister mentioned the skill mismatch. Now, with the government new policy of the reintroduction of 3 credits at the GCO level, does he agree that this new policy will create more graduates in the country and less skilled workers, and will therefore worsen the scarcity of skilled labour on our market?
No, I don't think so. And I'll give an example, a concrete example. Madam Speaker, Today, we have an aging population. Today, a substantial number of applications that are received in my ministry relates to carers. Carers, because if you are an old age person, if you are handicapped, you need treatment not just in the morning, but also at night, and we have a scarcity in Mauritius. So, we want to train the Mauritians to become carers. But today, the former government required Form 5 credits in SC to become a carer. You have all these youngsters, all these people who has Form 4, Form 3, who are willing to go and help. They can't because they can't get the training because the former government said that you need SC with 5 credit. Why do you need 5 credit to be a carer? So this is why having this SC with 3 credit will allow them, after their SU certificate, to get into a training institution and train and qualified and be carers and look after our old age citizens.
If he allows you.
Thank
You finished? You got what? I got 4 minutes left.
I'll be very quick. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, speaking of migrant workers, is the Minister aware that last month Madagascar has stopped sending Malagasy workers because of the appalling conditions and complaints that they have received because of the appalling conditions by which they are treated? What does the Minister propose to do to urgently make sure that we respect the conditions of the workers humanely, since there is a dire need for migrant workers?
Madam Speaker, I met the representative, the ambassador of Madagascar, yes, on 2 occasions. And the first thing he said to me was that it's so unfair that you keep taking Malagasy citizens, taking them back to the country, but the network employing them. Because there's a network. You don't do anything about it. You don't know anything about it. All these employers who exploit the Malagasy employees, they have no sanction, nothing is done against them. So, and I totally agree with Madagascar, but the honourable member is wrong. What happened is there's no ban on recruitment of workers from Madagascar. What is happening is now there is an additional layer of control. The application has to go through the embassy, the Malagasy embassy. And in fact, we are negotiating with the government of Madagascar to come up with a memorandum of understanding which will regulate the recruitment of Malagasy workers. We already have one with India and Nepal. So now we're going to have one with Madagascar. Once we do it, the recruitment will be much more, fluid.
Yes.
Yes, one last question, Madam Speaker. I get back to that policy of 3 credits at O level. Madam Speaker, we know that at the level of the Public Service Commission, qualification requirements for a job is 5 credits. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether government will consider reviewing this requirement by the PSC so as to redress that situation of unfairness?
This doesn't fall under my ministry, but I know that these are things which will be considered in terms of recruitment of agencies, because it is clear that if you allow someone with 3 credit to do an HSC, he should be eligible to apply for a job.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, after hearing Honourable Minister, I can see that there is a real problem of mismatch between the job requirement and the qualifications. Can the Minister please tell us since when, est-ce que ça date d'hier, or this has been perpetrating for the last 10 years? Thank you.
He's already said that. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I please request the Honourable Minister to review the policy of not renewing the work permit of Bangladeshi workers, which is further aggravating the problem currently in Mauritius, because it costs a lot for an employee to invest in bringing someone to Mauritius and train that person, and after a few years, very abruptly, it has been decided not to renew their work permit.
I thank the honourable member for this supplementary question. Madam Speaker, in 2023, the previous government took the decision to ban the recruitment of workers from Bangladeshi. And the official reason given was that there were too many illegal Bangladeshi working. Now we are addressing the issue of illegal migrant, and we found out that most of these Bangladeshi workers, which were termed illegal workers, were actually working for the same employer, and it was that employer who did not renew the permit. That is why there was a lot of Bangladeshi who were termed as illegal migrants through no fault of theirs. Now, this interministerial committee, we have heard representation from the private sector about the productivity of the Bangladeshi workers. We've also heard the trade unionists talking about the condition to ensure the condition of employment, because we don't want to, have a mismatch between Mauritian workers and migrant workers. So certainly in the committee, we are considering the discussion about allowing the recruitment of Bangladeshi nationals again.
Okay, Minister has replied extensively. Time is up.